It's time for another WrestlePlanet news update, as KENTA wants a match with CM Punk, Roman Reigns vs John Cena at SummerSlam is made official, and WWE are trying to damage the public image of AEW. All that and more coming up in today's video, but first... In 2018, former WWE Divas champion Paige was forced to retire from in-ring competition at the age of just 25 after suffering a career-ending neck injury. Earlier this year, Paige revealed that she looks to follow in the footsteps of Daniel Bryan and Edge, who both came back from injuries that were said to have ended their career, with both men now back in active competition. She provided an update on Twitter this week, revealing she's making progress in the gym and said, "You guys, I'm getting stronger, squatting 185 pounds again. I know it's not a ton, but it's a big accomplishment for me who was worried to do any gym stuff because of my neck. But my neck is feeling so awesome, I'm so proud of myself." Still aged only 28, Paige was one of the highlights of WWE's women's division, and I think I speak on behalf of all wrestling fans when I say that I hope she achieves her goal of getting back in the ring, and if Bryan and Edge can do it, I'm sure she can too. In a recent interview with TV Insider, WWE Hall of Famer and AEW announcer Mark Henry discussed the upcoming debuts of CM Punk and Bryan Danielson in AEW. Henry, who will be the commentator on the upcoming AEW Rampage show, was asked how much of a game changer it would be if they were to join the AEW roster, and he replied, "I think it's amazing if it happens. As a fan, I want to see it, but I don't want to know. Don't tell me. Let me find out like the fans so I can react just like the fans. I'm not the gossipy type. I won't walk around the locker room trying to get gossip. I don't want that, but I do think either gentleman or both gentlemen would be groundbreakers." They would be able to do something in AEW like when Hulk Hogan and Bret Hart went to WCW from WWE. It would be a positive step. It's not like we have to have that in AEW, but they would be welcomed additions. CM Punk's debut is expected to happen on the Last Dance episode of AEW Rampage, which Henry will be the commentator for. It looks like he wants to give his natural reaction to the moment should Punk show up, without prior knowledge to how the debut is taking place. AEW Rampage is set to debut on Friday, August 13th on TNT, with the Last Dance show taking place 1 week later. Before last night's episode of WWE SmackDown, 4 NXT wrestlers worked dark matches at the Target Center in Minneapolis, Minnesota, which suggests that WWE higher-ups want to take a look at them for a potential call-up somewhere down the line. The match saw NXT Breakout Tournament competitor Odyssey Jones defeat Austin Theory with a top rope splash. Theory has had a run on the main roster in the past as an associate of Zelina Vega, debuting on Raw on March 30th, 2020, before being moved back down to NXT in August. The second dark match saw Aliyah defeat Indy Hartwell, winning with a DDT. This follows dark match appearances for Karrion Kross, Tegan Nox, Shotzi Blackheart and Toni Storm, all who received main roster call-ups shortly after. In a recent interview with the Wrestling Perspective podcast, AEW's Malakai Black discussed several topics including his decision to join AEW, as well as a potential opponent outside of the promotion. He revealed how soon he wanted to join the Jacksonville promotion, and revealed that one of the last conversations he had with the late Brodie Lee was about Black joining AEW. He said, "I'll be completely honest with you, the day I got released, AEW popped into my head. I had so many friends there. One of the last conversations I had with Brodie Lee, rest in peace, he said, 'You'd love it here. You would have so much fun here.' So that kind of always stuck with me. Him and me, every once in a while, would talk, and there's definitely been moments where I was very frustrated." Black continued on by expressing an interest in working for New Japan at some point in the future, which is of course possible under AEW contract. He discussed who he'd like to wrestle there and said, "One of the things I would really like is to compete with KENTA in Japan in his own setting, not in a WWE oriented setting. Not that there was anything bad about it, but I would like to see what him and me could do without that environment, without people giving us cues and directions, and basically just go, what do we really want to do? And that's something I really want to have answered at some point." KENTA vs Malakai Black would no doubt be an excellent match, with both of them being two of the best strikers in the world. Let's hope we get to see Malakai in New Japan at some point in the near future, where I'm sure his style would thrive. And speaking of KENTA, he recently answered fans' questions at the Tokon Shop Global Online Meet and Greet, which was streamed on New Japan's YouTube channel, and he was asked about AEW bound CM Punk. KENTA is the inventor, that rhymes, of the go to sleep finishing move, which was later adopted by CM Punk, which for years has led to calls from fans for a match between the two. 2 years ago, KENTA told fans on Twitter that he wants to wrestle CM Punk, and it seems the interest is still there. At the meet and greet, KENTA once again was asked about Punk, to which he responded, "CM Punk, I'm gonna beat CM Punk. I'm the real go to sleep." This is an obvious dream match should CM Punk end up in All Elite Wrestling as expected, with the company having a working relationship with KENTA's current employers. This wouldn't be the first time KENTA has appeared in AEW, with him being the first ever talent contracted to New Japan to break through the proverbial forbidden door back in December, attacking then IWGP United States champion Jon Moxley. Who knows, perhaps Punk could go the other way if he's interested in doing some matches in Japan. Next, we have an update regarding the upcoming AEW Rampage, the First Dance Special. Pre-sale tickets for the show are already on sale, and so far, 12,000 tickets have been sold. Bear in mind, this is after tickets have been on sale for just 1 day. The event is being held at the United Center in Chicago, which seats 23,000 fans, so more than half of the available tickets have been sold. This is before general sales have even begun. Tickets will be available to everyone on Monday, August 2nd at 10 AM Central. The First Dance is expected to see the debut of CM Punk in All Elite Wrestling following various teases on AEW Dynamite. Not only this, but Punk himself posted the song Sirius to his Instagram story earlier this week, which is of course the introduction music for the Chicago Bulls, who play their home games at the United Center. If AEW manage to sell the event out, it will smash their current attendance record. And quickly, just before we continue, make sure you scroll down and drop a like and subscribe with notifications turned on so you don't miss any upcoming wrestling content as we head towards 20,000 subscribers. But now that you've done that, let's get on with the rest of the video. On last night's episode of WWE SmackDown, the main event of SummerSlam was made official, and as expected, we'll see Universal Champion Roman Reigns defend against the returning John Cena. On the show, Roman Reigns and Finn Balor were in the midst of a contract signing after Balor accepted Roman's challenge last week, but during the segment, Balor was taken out by Baron Corbin, leading to Cena coming to his aid before signing the contract, adding himself to the match in place of Balor. This also means instead of a Universal title shot, Finn Balor will instead take on Baron Corbin at the pay-per-view, now that Big Match John has got in his way. The show will take place on August 21st from the Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, Nevada. And elsewhere on the show, Raw Women's Champion Nikki Cross is set to defend her title against Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley in a triple threat match. And finally, according to Dark Side of the Ring researcher David Bixenspan, WWE have taken steps to damage AEW's public image after the Pizza Cutter incident this past week on AEW Dynamite. For those that missed it, during the No Rules match between Nick Gage and Chris Jericho, which main evented Dynamite Fight for the Fallen, Gage took a pizza cutter to the head of his opponent. This was immediately followed by a picture-in-picture commercial break which showed a Domino's pizza advert whilst Gage held up his pizza cutter to the camera. This caused Domino's to release a statement distancing themselves from the spot, revealing that they are now considering pulling their ads from AEW television shows. According to Bixenspan, a reporter of a mainstream publication reached out to him to reveal that WWE had been in contact to ask that they write an article on the Domino's AEW situation. This seems to suggest that WWE are trying to encourage more mainstream outlets to cover the incident, therefore putting more pressure on advertisers to pull their ads from Dynamite. This hilariously follows a WWE investor call where Vince McMahon dismissed AEW as competition. Clearly, WWE is threatened by the momentum AEW is building and is trying to do anything they can to damage them. But remember folks, AEW is not competition. And before you go, why not check out my video where I discuss 5 ways that AEW could book the debut of CM Punk.